The observation deck of the Krell warship Devastator hummed with anticipation as Commander Vexthor studied the holographic display. A single human vessel drifted through the debris field of what had once been the colony ship Wanderer. The human craft was small, insignificant, a mere scout ship against the might of 12 Krell destroyers. One survivor, Vexthor clicked, his mandibles spreading in what passed for a Krell smile. The humans send their weakest to die alone. His subordinates chittered in agreement. Humans were soft creatures, dependent on their technology and their numbers. Alone they were nothing. The Krell had proven this across a dozen systems, crushing human settlements with contemptuous ease. Their bones were fragile, their skin easily pierced, their lifespans laughably brief. Ezra Chen sat in the pilot's chair of the Meridian, his hands steady on the controls despite the bodies floating past his viewport. Grace had been among them, his sister, his last living family. The Krell had destroyed the colony ship without warning, without mercy, and now they circled like scavengers, assuming the lone human would flee or beg. They had made a terrible miscalculation. Attempting to hail the human vessel, reported Sub-Commander Thrain. No response. Of course not, Vexthor said dismissively. It's probably paralyzed with fear. Send a boarding party. I want that human alive. It will make an amusing pet. The Krell had studied human biology extensively. They knew humans required precise temperatures, specific atmospheric compositions, and regular sustenance. They were slow healers, poor climbers, and their senses were dulled compared to most galactic species. On paper, humans should never have survived to reach space at all. What the Krell hadn't studied was human history. The boarding party of 6 Krell warriors magnetically locked onto the Meridian's hull. Their plasma cutters began slicing through the airlock, and they could already hear the hiss of escaping atmosphere. The human would be gasping, weakening, soon unconscious. The airlock door fell inward with a clang. Darkness greeted them. "Thermal scans," ordered Squad Leader Krath. His visor activated, painting the corridor in heat signatures. Nothing. The ship's interior was cold, far too cold for human survival. They advanced cautiously, their chittering now subdued. Something felt wrong. The first Krell died without a sound. One moment he was walking. The next his head separated from his carapace with surgical precision. The other spun, weapons raised, but saw nothing in the shadows. "Impossible," Krath hissed. "Humans can't survive in these temperatures." The second Krell's words ended in a gurgle as a blade found the soft joint between his armor plates. His body crumpled, and now the remaining 4 opened fire, plasma bolts illuminating the corridor in staccato bursts. Ezra moved like a ghost between the salvaged bulkheads. The cold that would have killed him in minutes was held at bay by the combat suit he'd retrieved from Wanderer's armory. Designed for hard vacuum operations. It kept him alive in the frozen ship he'd deliberately vented to space. Grace had taught him that trick during their military training. Use their assumptions against them, she'd said. They'll expect you to be weak where you're strong. 2 more Krell fell to carefully thrown debris. Oxygen canisters turned into projectiles by human ingenuity. The last warrior finally caught sight of Ezra and screamed a challenge. Charging with his plasma blade extended, Ezra sidestepped with practiced economy, grabbed the Krell's weapon arm, and used the alien's own momentum to drive the blade into his abdomen. As the warrior collapsed, Ezra spoke his first words since the massacre. "Tell your commander. Tell him what happens when you underestimate a human." He released Squad Leader Krath, who scrambled back to the boarding craft, trailing fluorescent blood. Aboard the Devastator, Vexthor watched the tactical display in growing unease. 1 boarding party slaughtered. He sent 2 more. Neither returned. The human vessel remained dark and silent, yet his warriors kept dying. "This is impossible," he insisted, even as his confidence cracked. "One human cannot—" "Commander," his sensor operator interrupted, voice trembling. "The human ship is moving. It's coming toward us." Panic rippled through the bridge. The Meridian accelerated directly at the Devastator, and Vexthor suddenly understood with crystalline clarity. This human wasn't trying to escape. This human was hunting them. Over the next 6 hours, Ezra picked apart the Krell fleet with devastating efficiency. He used the Meridian's smaller profile to hide in sensor shadows. He salvaged weapons from destroyed Krell boarding craft. He exploited every weakness Grace had taught him about Krell ship design. Their over-reliance on shields, their predictable tactical formations, their arrogant assumption that numbers always won. When Krell warriors boarded his ship, they found traps cobbled together from spare parts and human creativity. When they tried to overwhelm him with firepower, he used the debris field itself as both weapon and shield. When they attempted to flee, he sabotaged their navigation systems with precision hacking learned from a childhood spent breaking into secure networks for fun. Humans were persistence hunters, evolved to track prey across endless distances until their quarry collapsed from exhaustion. Humans were improvisers, capable of turning anything into a tool or weapon. Humans were survivors who'd clawed their way up from the bottom of Earth's food chain, through nothing but stubbornness and spite. And humans, when pushed to their limit, when stripped of everything they loved, became something the Krell had never encountered in their centuries of conquest. They became relentless. By the time the Krell command ship finally broke formation and fled into hyperspace, only 4 of their 12 destroyers remained functional. Ezra didn't pursue. He'd made his point. He transmitted a single message on all Krell frequencies, his voice cold and absolutely certain. You killed my sister. You destroyed my home. Now every Krell in this sector will know. Humans don't forget and we never stop coming. Tell your empire. Tell them Grace Chen's brother is still alive. He cut the transmission and set course for the nearest human outpost. Behind him, the Krell fleet scattered like leaves before a storm, and across their networks a new word began to spread. A word that meant the thing that hunts in the dark. A word that would become synonymous with nightmare. The word was human. And the lone survivor of the Wanderer had just taught the galaxy why humans had earned their place among the stars, not through superior technology or physical might, but through the one advantage no other species could match, the absolute refusal to give up, even when everything said they should, especially then.